Much like the victory at Vicksburg, the real battle for Atlanta was in the weeks and months leading up to it. Grant had just assumed command of all Union forces in the East, and he left Sherman in charge. Sherman fell into this terrible dance where the Confederates would claim a mountaintop, and then he'd use my boys to swing around and outflank them. We'd push them up off the mountain, and they would fall back. They'd claim another mountaintop. We'd swing around to the other side and outflank them, push them off the mountain, and they'd fall back. This went on and on. At Resaca, we got there and we saw the rails down in the valley, and I told my commanding officer that my boys could claim this town and we could cut off their retreat if we could claim the railroad. But my commander refused. We had 3 divisions, but he refused. I said, my boys in the 15th, we could do it single-handedly if you just give us permission. But he refused. And we watched as a town filled with Confederate soldiers. And we quickly found out that the hill we were on is where they practiced their artillery. And soon they were popping popcorn for us. And most of the soldiers fled, but not me. We watched the fireworks for a while, taunting and teasing them. Finally, at Kennesaw Mountain, we met the worst defeat in our pursuit of Atlanta. And we swung out onto an open field. And at this point, a new commander had taken over the Confederates. And instead of Pillow, who was fall back, it was Joe Johnston. And he came out for a fight, and we gave him one. But then, in the heat of battle, just as my line was beginning to fall, our commanding officer took a bullet and fell from his horse. At a critical moment, we were leaderless, rudderless, until I realized I had the highest rank of the men on the field that day, that the command was mine. So I jumped onto my fastest horse, and I pushed the men who were retreating back to the front lines. Swinging my hat, the boys began to shout, "Rally round the flag, boys, rally once again," shouting the battle cry of freedom. Rally from the hills and rally from the plains, shouting the battle cry of freedom. We not only plugged the hole, but we pushed the Confederates back. We defeated most of the forces, captured thousands of prisoners. It was just a matter of time before Atlanta fell. But the very next day, Sherman demotes me. The rank that I had claimed on the battlefield, that was righteously mine, that I had earned valiantly, he takes that rank away and he gives it to one of the West Point boys. What should have been my happiest moment shook the foundation of faith. The only time in the whole war I considered going home. I was a volunteer. I missed my wife and family. But Lincoln and Grant had higher plans for me. They sent a telegraph ordering me to come to Washington. And it was then that they gave me a leave of absence to speak throughout the North, to rally the troops, to save the Union.